Hello, my name is Unicorn and it's time to wait. In this video I would like to share with you a recent Godslayer achievement that we got with Hypocricity team. In this team I am a Necromancer of healer and this is my trash setup. My co-healer is a Warden and this is her trash setup. We have a DK main tank and this is his trash setup, and we have Necromancer off tank. So as you can see we have two Necromancer supports and no Templar support. So we have a Templar DPS to provide minor sorcery, and we use various different ways to make up for lack of portal. And later on you will see it in our presets. So in terms of alts, me and the off tank are able to basically provide force and vulnerability for majority of the packs, except for the third pack in here where we utilize Necromancer's classes, like Necromancer DPS classes, because there's not enough of time for us to build up alt. But then otherwise we just alternate between myself and the off tank, and we're able to just cover the entirety of the trash and trial with our alts. Both of us are in Sax heal as you saw before, so basically that's a very simple way to manage alts and trash, I feel like. It might be not hyper optimal because we are missing resources on some of the trash packs, but at the same time we're able to have our Necromancer DPS and group healer to use Destro alts, and our main tank can use Magma Shell for some of the more dangerous trash packs. So in here you can see we're stacking in a certain way. We're close to this icy cliff, so that all the small adds come in closer and it's easier to chain them. And as you probably know, the small adds trigger next pack spawn in this particular room. So if you kill small adds early, the next spawn will spawn earlier and you will speed up your trash that way. In addition, we have our off tank leave this pack earlier, a little bit earlier, so that he can pre-stack the following room, and then our DK tank passing through and pre-stack the trash before Luckisties. Here we spent quite a bit of time figuring out why our DK tank cannot open the door, and turns out there is a Mender up the hallway that uses Vampire Bane that hits 3 targets, and so if the passing tank gets hit by that Vamp Bane, they get into combat and they are not able to open the door. So we adjusted our positioning in a way where that Mender gets pulled first, and so the passing tank is not in vicinity of that Mender and they're able to pre-stack the next room earlier. During this trash pack we have a Sork DPS peel early. They drop off their dots and they go ahead and extinguish Fire Brazier so that we don't spend too much time waiting for it on Loki. You can see the support setups on the screen. You can see that we are using breaching poisons to make up for lack of penetration. We introduced Crimson Oath so that we get the extra penetration on Loki and on adds. And then our off tank is maintaining minor breach by using focused aim, because that skill actually has minor breach to it. It has cast time, so it's kind of dangerous a little bit if you're not experienced, but if you spend a little bit of time progressing it, you can actually maintain it pretty well. And as you can see, we have the Necromancer tank range tank in this because they don't need to maintain Empower, since we have also a healer that can maintain Empower, and DK tank is off tanking because it's more convenient for them to maintain Stagger when they're in proximity of the boss rather than at range. As you see, we are not utilizing any ultimates on trash because our DDs have a lot of damage and they're able to kill everything here without any additional ults. I do try to proc Slayer, but I try to be careful and not being heavy attacking while I expect the Atro to go off, because then I cannot block or heal myself or whatever. So I plan my heavy attack when I see that there is large pack in front of me and that pack is not about to go off. I will heavy for Slayer during trash. Both myself and the Necro tank are in necrotic potency, so we get a lot of ults during the trash packs, and I am able to cover all the barriers plus Colossus on third land so that our Necromancer DPS can then use Destro on that third land. I'm not able to use Colossus at the start of the fight because I Colossus the previous trash pack. So we do need his classes there. But if you are not ulting the previous trash pack as a Necromancer, you should be able to provide first Colossus, then all barriers and Colossus on turned land as well. Due to overwhelming amount of damage that this group has, as I said before, we are able to skip the Tomb 2 in a lot of cases, as you can see here. So this is pretty amazing because now you just have so much more damage on Loki and you can basically push him and kill him in sub 6 minutes, which is pretty amazing. During the trash packs where you get beam prior to killing all Atros, so you have like 2-3 Atros left, it's extremely dangerous because those Atros light attack people. And usually DDs are using Parse Foot here or the Witch Mother / Clockwork Fillet, so they are at low health, and there is a debuff in this arena that lowers your health even further. So it's very kind of RNG fight as to who will get randomly 3 light attacks from all Atros all at once and dies, and because of that we're utilizing shields to just reduce the amount of time we need to reset on Loki when that happens. It is possible to do that without shields, but then you will be resetting much more on Loki just because, okay, we have 3 Atros who decided to just light attack the same person, and they're just dead and they cannot counterplay it in any way. In here you can see this is exactly the land where I can utilize my classes, and our Necromancer DPS can use Destroy here and push a little bit more damage that way. In here you can see that prior to going to the tomb, I activated a couple heals on myself because there was like a random Atro that was trying to murder me. So in order not to blow up and not to blow everybody up, I'm trying to be like safe and pop a little bit healing prior to going into the tomb. Over here you can see we did not get the second tomb skip, even though in a lot of polls we were able to. That really depends on whether we're getting double tombs and things like that, and how well the burst was. But really this second tomb spawns at the time when Loki is about to fly up, so it doesn't really affect our fight time all that much. It does affect our ability to kill more Atros during this phase, and the more Atros you're able to kill here, the less Atros are light attacking DDs during next beam, and therefore it's kind of like better for you to kill more of them than less. However, you have to be super careful not to have some of them going into execute before the beam. So you see we were able to kill 4 in here and 2 are left over. So this is the beam phase prior to the beam activating. Both me and my co-healer try to pop extra radiating regens. Definitely keep healing spring on a stack and things like that. Here you can see people decided to push that one Atro for some reason and single target it. So we made a call out to kill it, which kind of messed up our burst on the land, but at least we didn't throw and we still were able to finish fight. This is a double tomb over here. You can see I'm taking the double. When you're trying to take double, make sure you let both of them to manifest fully, so wait until maybe 7 seconds before tomb blow up or some such, because they manifest at different time, and so if you go too early at 9 seconds before tomb blow up, for example, you will blow up because one will activate on you 1 second earlier than the other. You will take the double tick and blow up and die and blow up everybody else around you. So during the next trash pack, our Necromancer of tank was able to generate Colossus and Colossus this pack. Next pack we do the mega pack where our DK tank peels early, runs all the way through, and brings the ads from the pre-Yolna Crane room all the way up. And then we kill the small ads over here while our Necromancer of tank is stacking the big cats. They meet by the pillar, between the pillar and the wall over there, as you can see. And basically, as soon as everything is stacked, we just burst everything all together, which is pretty satisfying when you see all those numbers pop up. You can see I saved a little bit of the corpses in the back, so I can siphon them after I used my ulti, because I am trying to generate enough of ult to be 3rd classes on Yolna. And if I don't save those, I might not generate it on time, and so that's why I'm going back and siphoning those corpses later while people are killing ads. This is our setups. Here I'm doing full damage. I am using Exhilarating Dare to generate extra ult. our group healer solo heals, and I will link her video down below. The main tank is maintaining Stone Fist and chaining Atros under, and Necromancer off tank is using Exhilarating Drain, maintaining both Crusher and Brittle by utilizing Bow and Ice Staff on both the bars, and so they can maintain both Wall and Endless Hail to very easily maintain 2 enchants that will provide Crusher and Brittle. And the rest of the fight, they're basically spamming Exhilarating Drain to generate as much ultimate as possible and give us as long of a force with Sax and Vuln with the Colossus. And so that way they're able to Colossus on land every single time and give us very long ult. Because of this, our Necromancer DPS only needs to Colossus once, and the rest of the fight they can just utilize their Destro ulti or whatever ulti they're using. For me, I'm trying to do as much damage as possible to push the dragon to flight, and as soon as he is about to flight, I start spamming Exhilarating Drain to get that Colossus on time, because I'm always second Colossus after dragon lands. And if I am not using Exhilarating Drain and ultimate potions, I'm not getting it. Besides that, of course, prioritize maintaining Empower and doing as much damage as possible. So now this fight paces in a very interesting way. When we start, the Bloodthirsty does not kick in yet, and we do need 3 Colossuses to cover the Vuln. But as soon as we passed his first phase on second land, the Bloodthirsty starts to kick in and people start doing more and more damage with each phase. So on first phase, we are not able to skip the second flare yet. But on second phase, third and fourth, we're already skipping them, and we only need 2 Colossuses to cover majority of the dragon being landed. And we only need the Sax Heal Colossus and 1 extra horn in second, third, and fourth phase to cover the force as well. Besides that, it's just your regular Yolnacrin fight. We did opt for me guarding the tank so that the group healer does not need to be tied to the tank, and she has better positioning to maintain Combat Prayer on both the stacks and to maintain PA on both the stacks. Otherwise, she would have to be tied to a tank. She would not be able to overextend the guard, and the stack that is on a wing would have very poor uptimes just because of the positioning. So definitely, if the healer is solo healing this, let them not be the guardian healer, because it just will result in much better uptimes. And whomever is guarding can use the minor force version of the guard so that their damage will not suffer all that much. As you can see later on here, we are pushing the dragon faster and faster, and so now not all of the Atros are dying before the dragon flies away. So oftentimes we have to call, please finish that Atro because it just didn't die yet. And if that happens, I would use hands, the Empowering Grasp, to CC the Atro, because it will enrage and become blue, and if it reaches the stack, it will kill everybody. So if we have that one Atro left over, I would spam Empowering Grasp, and the DKOT will use chains to stun them and to prevent them from moving around and letting DDs to kill them. In here you can see I kind of mistimed the heavy attack. If you're heavy attacking with Inferno or Ice Staff for Arrow, you can start heavy attacking a little bit prior to Dragon landing, and it will land exactly when he lands, and that way your Arrow will align with DD's burst, so their ultimates will go off with Slayer, instead of you spending extra 5 seconds after Dragon lands to give the Slayer to people. So it does kind of require perfect timing, so sometimes I fuck it up, and you can see here it didn't happen the way I expected it, but in other cases I'm able to like heavy attack slightly earlier and land it perfectly on time. So this is the last trash pack spawn. Same here, we're just alternating classes between myself and the Necromancer off tank, and we're able to cover majority of the packs here. This pack in particular, you can see that tanks are grabbing everything and stacking by the rubble, there is like a small gap between the rubble in there where you can stand and LOS the ads. And so they will stack very, very nicely facing into the rubble, and everybody else will be much safer because they will not be like spinning around and cleaving people as much as they would if the tanks would not stand in that gap over there. Usually during that pack, people get slowed, and if your tank is getting slowed, they would call, well, I'm slowed, don't rush, so that DDs don't run face forward into the next trash pack without tank being there. And that way, it's very important to communicate those things during the trash, because it often results with DDs just rushing forward while tank is not there and dying because they get late attacked. In the next room, the green room, there are gaps in the floor, and you could just run off the edge in that gap. And to avoid that, we usually block when we're moving around the platform in the center. And it's very, very important to block as you're jumping up that platform, because one of the tanks goes early to pre-stack. And so the large cat, the Cinch Rats, will time their jump, the staggering jump, perfectly when DDs show up in a room. So our tank, in this case it was MW, the DK tank, he would say they're jumping soon, please block, and people would block and not die while trying to get up the platform. Once we finish both the packs, we would also block while walking off the platform, because if you have a twisting path on the ground there, lingering, you would get the major expedition. And when you get the major expedition, you could get a momentum thing where you're jumping off the platform and momentum carries you further away than you expected. And you cannot imagine how many of the 36 feet throws I've seen to that happening. So definitely when you're jumping off that platform, just block for a second so you don't retain the momentum from the expedition and don't fall down. And that's pretty much majority of the dangerous trash packs. The rest of the two, really, there's nothing in particularly dangerous there, and usually people don't die during those trash packs. So after this, it's pretty much get the Navi done and you got the Godslayer. In here, there is a trick. If you bounce yourself against a wall like this, you will not take fall damage. You could, however, get the momentum and jump on top of the wall instead, so that happens as well. So that trick doesn't always work the way you expect it to work. In here, we do the usual stack. One tank takes left ads, one tank takes right ads, and they stack them in the doorway, and everybody just does damage to the ads. Nothing particularly special. Here, you can send somebody to open the door and extinguish braziers slightly earlier, so that when the rest of the group gets to the room, the RP takes a little bit less time, and you can save some time that way. So for this fight, we have one extra support, the off tank, and so we have more support slots for different setups. I am running Jorvolt and Atro with feet, because you cannot use Skeleton here. The stacks get demolished by the icy comments. The group healer is running Spell Power, Cure, and Martial Knowledge with Breaching Poisons. The main tank is running Crimson and Defiled, and off tank is in Sax Yolnacrin. To proc Yolnacrin, they help stacking first ads, and our off tank is in PA and Catalyst Brittle setup. In here, again, because I am able to maintain Empowering Grasp, our off tank is able to spam Exhilarating Drain and therefore generate ridiculous amount of ultimate and be able to classes on land and trash. And with Sax, he also provides force that way, which opens the room for extra damage ultis on other supports. And our group healer can choose between saving the horn or using barrier when a Salter takes place, for example, to be a little bit safer that way. We didn't get Salter in this fight, but we did have Salter in our previous run-throughs. The only place where the off-tank is not able to generate that extra Colossus is first landing, because there's nothing to exhilarate in Drain, because statue is not awoken yet. But otherwise, they're able to. So here, it's going to be me and group healer who are using our ultis to cover that gap. Otherwise, for the rest of the fight, we are not using Horn and Colossus up until execute. So we are going for portal skip. And how do you get portal skip? Well, you need to push as fast as possible between first portal spawn and second portal spawn, so that the portal team is still downstairs during the second portal spawn, and once they come up afterwards, they will not need to go back again because the servant downstairs will not respawn. To do that, we are not utilizing any ults on first land besides the Colossus, right? And then our portal team goes into the portal last second, and they're utilizing their ults to push Navi instead of using them in portal. So they drop their ults, stay upstairs for a little bit, doing damage to Navi, then go last second. As soon as we kill the ads and push for the Navi second land, we go ahead and utilize as many ults as we can. So if you are Nightblade, for example, you can use in-cap for the second land and not save ulti for ads. So what happens, we're pushing it super fast and the portal opens, portal team finishes up the servant downstairs, and after that, they don't need to come down anymore. And even though we didn't save as many Destro ults for the next trash will die anyway because we have all the DDs upstairs and not just 5 DDs upstairs. And this works pretty reliably, assuming your group has good damage. And this is kind of foolproof strategy because you know in advance whether the portal skip is going to happen or no. Because if you're killing ads and starting at the cataclysm phase where you have to like dance around at 60 seconds before portal wipe or more, then you're likely to skip, and so you don't have to save ults. If it's less than 60 seconds, you failed the portal skip, you didn't push fast enough, and so just save ults for the next trash. This is one of the speed strat that yields no risk and gives you all the benefits of speedrunning. So definitely any team could utilize that, assuming you are smart enough to adjust on the go. So in here, we also achieved first statue skip. The statue skip takes place when the servant downstairs performs any mechanic at all, while Navi upstairs is trying to wake up the statue. He awakes the statue at 2 seconds after Cataclysm finishes, and you can see it by looking at the rainbow speed that he throws at the statue. So what you do is you let your team to sit downstairs past the firestorm and 2 seconds after, because that's when Navi is attempting to awaken the statue. And you can confirm that he performed the attempt by looking at him and seeing that the rainbow speed is reaching the statue. So he's doing it right now. 2 more seconds, they are safe to come up, and now you know. In this case, statue did wake up because we skipped the portal, so there is no way we can skip this one. So this one will guarantee wake up, and in portal skip strat, you will guaranteed have at least 2 statues. But if you're not doing portal skip, you could skip up to 3 statues and UAT will just have 1 statue. As soon as you confirm whether statue awakened or not, you can just say was skipped or not skipped, so that everybody knows, okay, we have an extra statue. That means there is more likely chance to get slams in group, for example. Or we skipped a statue, less slams in group, and OT is not as overwhelmed. And here you can see we're alternating time stops between myself and my co-healer, and we actually tell our DDs to stay the hell away from the time stops, because if they're in time stops, they're not doing damage, plus they can die. We don't want them to die, we want them to do damage. Therefore, just let your DPS parse and supports have to focus on taking the time stop as much as possible. Usually you alternate so that your stamina sustain is good for the time stop taking, but really if you're not CC immune, you can take every time stop and not every other. So it's not really something that is set in stone. You could take every time stop if you wanted to, but like common practice is to take every other so that you alternate with the other support and you're not running out of stam as much and you're a little bit safer. During the RP downtime, you would have main tank taking time stops because they have nothing else to do, and you really want your healer to heal because you can freeze in the statue and get the fire spit on you, and that's kind of very sketch. So let somebody else rather than your only healer who can heal to take the statue. Here you can see a very scary situation. Person performs the trick of the century and not dying to the first cataclysm tick, which is pretty amazing if you ask me. Now this is pre-execute phase. During this phase, the portal people will come back up and Navi will lift his head and do a shout. During that shout, everything will go bright white and you won't be able to see anything for a short period of time. Be careful, because if you have 2 or 3 statues at the same time, they could slam during that period of time and you won't see the slam. So try to tuck in closer to the dragon for that period of time so that you are less likely to get the slam. Here we have combat prayer stacks. Everybody who was head on Yolna will be wing on Navi, and everybody who was wing on Yolna will be head on Navi. And wing stack will take their meteors left, head stack will take their meteors right. If we have 2 people traveling same direction, they will call going far or going close. That way they will not stack meteors on top of one another and won't die. And note that when you're sprinting with meteors, you get certain positioning desync where each person sees the other person further behind on their screen. So if you think that you're running in front of you, in front of the other person, that person could see you behind instead. And therefore calling it out is very important. That's pretty much it. We got our achievement. We got pretty good score, but we could have done better because we had better score during previous attempts, but we had some deaths in execute there. Hopefully this video was informative for you and will help you to get your Godslayer as well. Thank you for watching.